So let's talk about how to improve your joint health. You know, when you're dealing with challenge of if you've been struggling with issues around joint mobility and discomfort, those sorts of things, there are only a few simple things that if you consistently do over a period of time, you can really have relief and actually have healthy, flexible, mobile joints. So let's actually discuss some of the drivers, the actual core drivers of joint discomfort. And these are the 4 key drivers. And so the thing is, if you're looking to deal with your joint discomfort and have healthier, more flexible, free-moving joints, then if you address some of these underlying issues, then you will do a lot better. So the 4 key drivers are: number 1, injury. So obviously, if you can avoid injuring yourself by having stronger muscles, more flexible joints, so, you know, treating yourself well, not doing jarring exercise, strengthening the muscles around your joints, doing flexibility movements, those sorts of things, mobilization types of movements, then your joints will be healthier into the future. The second driver is gout. And so gout really is driven by a poor diet and too much acidity, an acidic body chemistry. So to avoid that driver of joint pain, obviously changing your diet, being more alkalizing, more vegetables, these sorts of things, less packaged foods, less of the alcohol, all of these sorts of things will make a big difference. And it can also help you to avoid being on some of the nasty medication for joint pain, those sorts of things. And so the third driver for joint discomfort is osteoarthritis. And so osteoarthritis, in essence, is described as sort of the wear and tear. And so the wear and tear of the cartilage. And so if you can actually look after the health of the joint capsule over time with collagen, with plenty of water, with nutrition, with minerals, with omega-3 fats, then that will nourish and support your joint for the long term. And then the fourth driver is rheumatoid arthritis, and this is driven by an autoimmune condition. So if you can address the underlying triggers for autoimmunity, then you'll be able to stave off that rheumatoid arthritis trigger. So they're really the 4 key drivers for all joint discomfort. So if we can deal with those and have our lifestyle actually foster avoiding those, then you will have better, healthier joints for the long haul. So I'm Corey Sievers, and I do believe that there are only a few simple things that if you repeat over a consistent period of time, you can have healthy, flexible joints now and into the future. So if you have just joined us, we're about to jump on into the Healthy Savvy Life Show. And so if you're new to what we do here in the Savvy team, then we're all about helping you reach that higher level of health and lifestyle. And so, yes, we are talking about joint health. So love to hear your thoughts, your thoughts if you've struggled with anything to deal with joint health, around joint health, then please do share with us. If you're looking for more support, information on any of the things that we cover, then please feel free to reach out. If you're new to what we do here in the show, we're really about giving you bite-sized pieces of information that you can sort of take on board and make changes, in terms of reaching that higher level of health and lifestyle. So, if you would like to stay in touch with what we're doing, then type bites in the comments and you can follow the instructions there and get on a notification list. If you're after more information specifically on this topic, for example, our free report on the 17 top tips for healthier and more flexible joints, then type more, and then we can be in touch there and supply that information for you. So great to have you with us here. Do give me a wave if you happen to be jumping on live. Love to be able to say hi. So dealing with those 4 key drivers, let's delve into them in a little bit more depth, I guess. And so, as I said, we just went through those 4 key drivers. They are, let me bring them back up again for you. So they're injuries, they're gout, it's osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. So if we can actually tackle some of the underlying things that lead to these conditions, then we'll be able to avert the joint discomfort and the joint pain, and maybe even the joint damage that can occur long term. So, obviously it's pretty clear that, like, if we don't injure our joint, then we'll be able to keep it healthier. And sometimes, though, so we're not talking about accidents there, but sometimes we do things that can leave us more susceptible to injury. So we're not going to be delving into that too much in depth. I want to give you some hints and tips as we go along here, though, and delve into these topics a little bit more. So the key thing to be aware when we're dealing with any of this really is that symptoms are not enemies to be destroyed, but sacred messengers who encourage us to take better care of ourselves. So if you do find yourself with some joint discomfort appearing, then it's a warning sign. It's actually a warning sign that something needs to be done. So let's jump on into this particular topic in a little bit more depth. Okay. So the first tip that I have for you, excuse me while I fix up whatever's going on here. Okay. We've got some more gremlins in the machine here at the moment. So let me just come back here and see whether I can fix this. Why do the gremlins seem to appear right in the middle of my when I'm getting going to talk to you guys about this particular topic? So anyway, we are dealing with, we're here, if you just joined us, we're here on the Healthy Savvy Life Show dealing with joint discomfort, the things that you can do to improve joint health. And I went through the key drivers, and I want to delve into just some hints and tips that can really help you to to improve your all-round joint health. So let's try it again. Looks like we are good. So number one would be to keep hydrated. And you've probably, I don't want to be like your mother here telling you drink more water and everything, but water does help to lubricate the joints. And Dr. Batman Galige, author of How to Deal with Back Pain and Rheumatoid Joint Pain, and a number of other books around the importance of water. The Body's Many Cries for Water is another book that he authored. And he said that water, helps to lubricate the joints. And if you are suffering from joint discomfort, then it is a signal. It's a warning sign that your body is short of water in the joint at least. And so the use of painkillers, for example, doesn't cure the problem, but actually exposes you to further damage from the pain medication and from, really not nourishing the joint and therefore causing more wear and tear. So he suggests an increase in water intake and small amounts of good, healthy salt like the Himalayan salt. So the tragedy that Dr. Batman Galige says is that people do not recognize that arthritis and low back pain are actually signs of dehydration in the joint cavities. And so if you simply treat the issue with painkillers, manipulation, acupuncture, and maybe even eventually surgery, then in time it ends up producing osteoarthritis because the cartilage cells in the joints have basically all died. And this produces deformities in the spine, crippling deformities of the limbs is what Dr. Batman, as he's well known as, or he's passed away, but lots of people have called him Dr. Batman. So number two, the second tip here for healthier joints to create joint health is to avoid the inflammatory foods. So chronic inflammation is linked to a myriad of degenerative modern diseases, including arthritis, allergies, asthma, cardiovascular disease, bone loss, even emotional imbalance and cancer, for example. So due to the inflammatory nature of things such as grains, even whole grains have been directly linked to joint pain and arthritis. Some of the other things that are very inflammation causing are things such as sugar, all grains, other additives lectins and many other anti-nutrients. So lectins are things that are found they're the natural, so gluten is a lectin. It's a protein in natural food. So in the Eat Savvy approach, we talk about it can be a man-made toxin or a natural toxin. So the thing is that these lectins are irritants. They can be irritants for many people. And so to look at treating joint pain without addressing some of the underlying drivers is, asking for trouble in the long run. It's not removing the cause. So it's like continually grinding salt into a wound, but then wanting to spray a bit of healing ointment in. But then you start grinding salt back into the wound as soon as you've sprayed the healing ointment on it. And that's what so many people do with their joints. They want the relief, but they're not willing to change their diet. And it can have an astounding effect if you change your diet. Some of the biggest culprits are things like lectins in legumes and some foods, the nightshade vegetables, potatoes, tomatoes, eggplant, capsicum, chili peppers, those sorts of things. The grains, especially wheat and processed grains and everything. Sugar, chemicals, those sorts of things are some of the primary drivers of inflammation that can certainly trigger problems with your joints. So avoid those inflammatory foods. So a really helpful tip and an action step would be to download the free Eat Savvy Diet for a cheat sheet of the less inflammatory food choices. The next tip I have for you to improve your joint health would be to alkalize your system. So a long-term acid body chemistry can lead to gout, joint discomfort, and many other health complications. And so alkalizing nutrition can make a huge difference. Changing your diet, of course, is worthwhile, and some of those changes that I already went through will actually help you to get rid of some of those acid-forming foods. But if you can tailor your diet to include more alkalizing foods, more of the greens, more of the low sugar fruits, these sorts of things, less of the dairy and grains, then the better off you're going to be in terms of your inflammation. And so I love this particular image here by James Gilray back in 1799 depicting the gout and showing the pain like a demon actually biting into the foot. And I remember it was interesting, my early days before I was really involved with working with a lot of people in terms of their problems such as gout and that sort of thing. I took a trip down to Adelaide, to wine country in Adelaide. And the interesting thing down there, went to some of the older wineries and everything, and they all had these footstools in some of the estates. And they weren't footstools to put your feet up just to relax. They were considered gout stools because these, the estate owners drank so much, they were and ate so, such rich food and everything that they were so acidic that they all had poor gout. They had bad gout and had to put their feet up there because of all of the pain. So we don't want that. We don't want you to need a gout stool, but it is a real problem, and it's one of those primary drivers. So certainly alkalizing your system can make a huge difference. So supplementing with green superfoods, that makes a huge difference. Following the Eat Savvy approach, you can begin your day with a glass of water with lemon juice in it. That's alkalizing. Plenty of greens through the day, green smoothies. Watch the really sweet fruits though, because they can also be very acidifying. Drink plenty of water as well. So the next tip I have for you is to actually think about nourishing your joints. Just like you need to nourish your body, your body needs a lot of nutrition, your actual joint capsule needs it as well. So the 90 nutrients that your body needs for optimal well-being, such as minerals, vitamins, antioxidants, amino acids, and essential fatty acids, and these are all needed by the joint as well. So if you're not providing the raw materials to the joint, then it has to survive on a low nutrition lifestyle. So this is one of the biggest challenges from the way we used to eat. We've moved away from eating whole foods and the nutritious sort of collagen-rich cuts of meat and bone broths and all that sort of thing. So we're seeing a resurgence of this method of eating with more whole foods and more of the nose to tail nutrition from in terms of animal foods and grass-fed meats and these sorts of things. This collagen really helps to supply some of the right, not only essential fatty acids to lubricate the joint, but also the right amino acids. See, if you're just eating the flesh proteins, the muscle meats, then you're actually going to be deficient in some of the essential amino acids necessary for the production and the health of your cartilage inside your joint. So and so then you have that destruction as depicted in this image of the actual cartilage, and then the swelling and the problems that can happen from there. So, when we're dealing with joints and bones, most people think in terms of calcium being the only nutrient that the bones need, but we actually need vitamins and minerals. For example, trace minerals such as magnesium, copper, manganese, zinc, boron. They're all just as, if not more important than calcium. Boron, for example, is required to activate certain hormones, including estrogen and even vitamin D. That also, vitamin D, very important as well. So vitamin K2, very important for strong bones and making sure that you're not ending up with, lessening your chances for atherosclerosis, making sure that calcium is deposited inside the bones and not inside the arteries. So that's vitamin minerals. Definitely we've seen huge benefits from taking trace minerals from people within our community, from community members, taking trace minerals and getting some daily sunshine, getting out there. So next tip is to think about oiling your joints. Great image here of a CV joint in a car, and we think about oiling the joints in a car, and we think about we have to add lubrication to some of these sorts of things. But many people don't consider, well, what's happening inside my body? The articular joints are also joints that need lubrication. And it's true that they naturally lubricate, but if you're not providing them with what they need for the lubrication, then you're going to struggle and your joint is going to hurt. So essential fatty acids can help to reduce the joint inflammation and also help to protect the existing cartilage. Essential fatty acids help to block the action of cytokines as well as other enzymes that can slowly erode the cartilage, and they actually help to lubricate that joint as well. So things such as the omega-3 oils are very, very powerful because of the rich, natural and available source of EPA and DHA. So unfortunately, the plant-based sources of omega-3 don't provide that same benefit, but they are still very valuable. So krill oils, fish oils, we certainly recommend supplementing with those, as well as, of course, eating plenty of your sardines and your wild-caught fish and these sorts of things to get, and grass-fed beef, to get those omega-3 fatty acids. And, of course, plenty of flax seeds and those sorts of plant-based ones as well. The next tip is to up your antioxidants. Antioxidants help to fight free radical damage to the joints and to reduce inflammation. So resveratrol is one, for example, that's clinically proven to help with gout. Okay, so but also the oligomeric proanthocyanidins, the grape seeds and the pine bark extracts, for example, and vitamin C help with strengthening collagen and cartilage. So this is really, really important to get plenty of antioxidants, because that can help with your collagen synthesis and also reduce your all-round inflammation. So taking an antioxidant blend daily that has grapeseed, pine bark, OPCs, these sorts of antioxidants will help you with both your joints and your soft tissue. Next tip for you is to spice it up. And you can certainly spice up your foods, but also think about supplementation. And, this is not new to many people. Many people are espousing the benefits of turmeric or turmeric nowadays, and that's because it contains the anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer compound called curcumin. The trouble with just spicing up your diet is that the curcumin is fairly not very well absorbed unless it's combined with, for example, black pepper and a fat. Hence why when it's in a curry, an Indian curry or something, you're probably getting more of it than just putting it in your basic smoothie. But nevertheless, if you're getting more into you is a wise idea. Sometimes, in actual fact, research I've seen shows that you get more just from a single supplement than you do from trying to have it all throughout the day because of that absorbability and that uptake. But nevertheless, if you have turmeric in your food, turmeric in your tea, and in a supplement and everything, then you're really helping there. So inflammation fighting antioxidant called curcumin. So, but all of the other things too, such as cinnamon and parsley and ginger and garlic, these are all beneficial for the joints as well. Now, the challenge with spices is we then think of chili. Now, chili can be a problem because it's part of that nightshade family. And so for people that are more nightshade sensitive and are suffering from joint pain, it could be one of the triggers. So again, if you've been struggling with joint pain and you're looking for some solutions, then I would really experiment with avoiding everything in the nightshade family: tomatoes, eggplant, zucchini, even potatoes, those sorts of things. Really, it's worthwhile giving it a go. Okay. All right, let's spice it up. So whether or not you love your curries, taking a curcumin enhanced supplement certainly has proven benefits. Sorry to get on your case here, but losing weight would be a really good idea. If your joints have been hurting, then losing a few kilos can certainly take the strain off your knees, your hips, and your back. Okay, excess weight definitely has been shown to place load on the joints and essentially increase the risk of breakdown of the cartilage. So, in fact, one study in Harvard said that each, it's obviously if you're coming to in Australia here and New Zealand, kilos, this is a pound thing, but each pound you lose reduces knee pressure in every step you take. And one study found that the risk of developing osteoarthritis dropped 50% with each 11-pound weight loss amongst younger obese women. So, so 50%, it was a significant drop there by losing 11 pounds. So what's that? 5-ish kilos. So lose 5 kilos and you've dropped your risk of arthritis by 50%. And this was in younger women. So, make a huge difference if you lose some weight. Sorry to get on your back there a bit, but if you're looking for support there, talk to us about one of our weight management protocols. Certainly many people have found that not only has their joint health improved, but they've lost weight and their skin's cleared up and all that sort of thing just by following the free Eat Savvy diet. So, jump on, download that, look to some of the rest of the community for support and make those dietary changes. I think you'll be glad you did. And so the next tip is along those lines, and that is to get more collagen. Get more collagen into you, get it into you, and upregulate collagen synthesis. Now, you can do that by eating more of a whole food diet and moving away from packaged and processed foods. Just following the Eat Savvy diet will already optimize your collagen synthesis. But then the next step would be, of course, to move into making sure all the raw materials are in your diet. So more of the bone and joint broths. You could take just gelatin, actually including gelatin, and hydrolyzed collagen powders are also advantageous, but we really tend to believe in getting it into your diet, having more of the more gelatinous foods in your diet, more bone broth and everything, and then supplementing with more of the collagen that can be readily absorbed, because the typical collagen powders provide the raw materials, but just like any food, it's got to basically be broken down and then transported and to help to build up your cartilage. Whereas what we use here in our organization is a bio-optimized form that gets basically straight into the system. But antioxidant supplementation also upregulates that the collagen synthesis. So whole food diet, more antioxidants, plenty of vitamin C, those sorts of things, and getting your bone broths, having that every day really makes a huge difference. If you don't mind your jelly, you can get quality gelatin and make jelly from that. The problem with that is that most people put so much sugar in there. So try to find a natural way of sweetening that. But that's another source of all the raw materials for your joint health. So what do I mean by the bio-optimized side of things? Well, there have been there's a lot of science around, well, what happens with this? How is it actually optimized to get into the joint? Because the problem is not getting into the body, it's the getting it into the actual joint where it can do the work. And so the innovative solutions that we use mirror the natural joint composition. And this is a key reason why it readily accepts it. And so it's an interesting science there to really understand that you can actually nourish the joint from inside, nourishing both, upregulating both the collagen synthesis as well as the lubrication of the joint through improving hyaluronic acid in the joint. And that's what helps to sort of lubricate and soften and keep everything nice and healthy there. So do ask us about the technology that we use in our joint mobility action plan. And so to give you a bit of an example of that, in studies that were done with that, the reason you don't see this in just taking collagen powders, but in basically 89% of people using this sort of technology experienced improved joint comfort. So in other words, most people get benefit, whereas that doesn't happen just by changing your diet and just by getting onto some collagen powder. But that's a wise move if that's where you're already moving to. More bone broth, better diet, etc., etc. So we were talking about losing weight before and talking about what you can do in that area. The next topic would be move. If you do have joint discomfort, exercise is a must, not a detriment. It's so easy if you're suffering from pain not to do any movement, and that can be very dangerous because your joints just seize up. They really do need that movement. And so the more that you can move and stretch, the less stiffness you'll have. So if you do tend to be having a sedentary job or you sit around a lot, then do take regular breaks and get up and move around. They actually sort of believe that sitting is the new disease. It's the latest poor health. Sitting's the new smoking is what they really say. It's such a problem that we have such sedentary lives that it's almost as bad as smoking because of what it can do to the body. All right, so even if you're reading, working on the computer, watching TV, change positions as often as you can. Okay, so the next one here is strengthen the muscles. And, when I was talking about the 4 key drivers of joint discomfort, then one of them is the injury, of course. And so how do we make sure that we don't injure ourselves? Well, we don't do the pounding types of exercise, but we also strengthen the muscles to keep our joints strong. What can happen? We can twist and jar and have falls and all that sort of thing because we don't have strong muscles. The primary reason for more of the elderly to actually have falls is because they're suffering from muscle wastage. So the strength isn't in the muscle in order to stop that from happening. So there's more that you can look after your muscle tissue through good exercise, weight training, those sorts of things, and strengthen the muscles through proper movement, strengthen the muscles around the joint. Then that will mean you'll have less stress on the joint, less likely to have injuries, etc. So research shows, for example, having weak thigh muscles increases your risk of knee osteoarthritis. Now, obviously, just if you are struggling with a particular joint, then sometimes seeing a therapist to actually give you a little bit of a diagnosis as to where you're weak, where you're out, what you could develop can really help you there. But again, if you don't have the raw materials for your joint to do the repair work and healing, then you're going to have limited benefits there. So mechanically fixing or realigning doesn't repair necessarily the damage. It stops damage from happening in the future. But if you don't have the nutrients there to do the repair work, then you've called in the builder, but there's no raw materials on site to do any building. So the next thing, since we're talking about that, is to loosen up. Tight and contracted muscles can cause a real problem for you and actually trigger that pain. So, if you have tight and contracted muscles, they cannot adequately protect your joint from general daily stresses, can cause damage by pulling it out of alignment, forcing uneven wear, and that's what we were mentioning there with the actual knee pain. It can change your body posture, placing increasing loads on other joints, and cause a feeling of joint discomfort and lack of mobility generally. So the more that you can do things such as stretching and yoga and massage and even getting a foam roller and getting into those tight points, a massage ball, finding the trigger points on your body where the fascia is essentially bound up, and you can work on it yourself. You having a massage, going to a therapist, great stuff, but you can also work on many of these imbalances yourself. And in fact, you probably need to, because we do so much each and every day. So for example, working at a desk, dealing with this. Actually, probably on the next one. I'll deal with that after we deal with this next one here. Keep good posture. Protect your joints with good posture. Stand up and sit up straight. Good posture certainly protects your joints all the way from your neck down to your knees. It's just amazing what, for example, forward head posture can really do as far as throw out the balance of your entire spine. So one easy way to improve your posture is to get out and walk. You'll also notice, by walking more, you'll notice where you're a bit out of whack. And the faster you walk, the harder your muscles actually have to work to keep you upright. So, a stroll's great, but a fast walk, you notice that your core starts to tighten up and you actually change the way you stand. Swimming can also improve your posture. So what I was about to mention there related to that is the challenge is that, our whole life we have internally rotated shoulders. So it lends itself to us being the hunchback of Notre Dame, really, or the hunchback of wherever you come from. And the challenge is that we just don't do any of the movements that open us up. So we don't do external rotation types of things, where even if you were to sit there right at wherever you are now and grab your thumbs like this and turn them out like that and just lean back in the chair, you will probably find that it's a very tight stretch all the way up here, and your back might even crack or whatever. This is an example of how we've just ended up with such forward head posture thanks to devices and all this sort of thing. So this is causing a lot of a flow-on effect of pain down the rest of our body. Plus, if you understand how heavy your head is, and if it's always forward like this, all of the different musculature is changing. So, it is difficult to get yourself right and to sit up straight and do all that sort of thing. But you will be taking less pressure. You will be taking the pressure off your joints. So yes, sit up straight. But there's more to it than that. That only starts the process of change. If your body doesn't have the raw materials in there to do the repair work, then you're still going to be having challenges. If you still have the inflammatory foods and no nutrition, changing your posture and doing all the body work around down won't actually necessarily get you all of the way there. That's why we have so many of these tips to help you out. The next one is to fix your gut. And leaky gut syndrome is implicated in dozens of bodily issues, including joint discomfort. Healing your leaky gut with diet and nutritional supplements can help with things such as, way beyond just joint pain, but insomnia, foggy thinking, bad breath, and a wide array of different issues, including asthma, eczema, and yes, even joint discomfort and arthritis. So really, really wise to do that. And it's because this is especially from the rheumatoid arthritis type of driver. Not just that, because these foreign particles can get into your bloodstream and just trigger inflammation, and that inflammation triggers pain in your body. But if you struggle with autoimmunity issues, and this is happening, these foreign particles, whether they be fungus, virus, food particles, chemicals are getting through your gut because your gut's not healthy, and it can trigger the immune system, and your immune system sort of overreacts in a way. And so the autoimmune conditions is not your immune system being so strong that it's eating itself. It's confused. It's overreactive. So what we've got to do is we've got to calm it down and settle it down and sort of say, there, let's get you back on track a bit. But you have to remove the irritant. So, that's the challenge. And if you go down the medication route, if you've ended up down there, unfortunately, that the medication can only suppress your immune system. It's not re-educating it like only your body can do. So some of the things that are great for gut healing and gut repair: quality aloe vera, bovine colostrum, probiotic supplements, prebiotic fibers in your food, but also, eliminating the irritants. Some of the primary irritants are wheat, sugar, processed vegetable oils, and even some dairy, especially just the general milks and all that sort of thing. Some of the things such as butter and ghee and fermented things such as yogurt and kefir and everything, less problematic. So it has some more benefits to the system than your typical skim milks and processed dairy. Last one here is to cool the inflammation. Use ice for joint pain and heat for muscular pain. So think about getting that bag of peas out and using it as a natural pain reliever. It helps to numb the pain and as well as reduce the swelling. So there are some natural anti-inflammatory and healing creams as well that contain, the things like willow bark, arnica, peppermint, capsaicin, wild yam, essential oils. These sorts of things can have anti-inflammatory properties without being reaching for the actual pharmaceutical things that can have damaging effects on our body. But even just that bag of peas, getting that out and using that. So again, joint pain, the ice is great for, but muscular pain, you might want to use something like a heat pack. So the other thing too with cool is that the cool stuff can really reduce inflammation. So if you're game, start to experiment with having a cold shower, getting into the cold water, these sorts of things, because it can really quell that inflammatory response in the body. This is where even cryotherapies are getting a little bit of getting out there in the more attention in the general public. But that's, a fairly pricey way to quell the inflammation in your body. Get a bit cooler, use a bag of ice, those sorts of things. So if you want to see all of this, we have all of this in a special report called the 17 Top Tips for Healthy Flexible Joints. So if you wanted to grab that, then you can type more in the comments and we can make sure that you have the link for that. So the basically healthier, more flexible joints, easy as 1, 2, 3. So this is what we deal with this is a bit of a glimpse into our joint mobility action plan. We simplify things and we make it really helpful for you to understand what to do. So I've gone through a heap of tips. Basically, it boils down to this: we have to find ways to hydrate and strengthen the joint. Okay, so that's exercise, that's water, that's making sure that you're getting the hyaluronic acid to lubricate the internal joint. It's those sorts of things. Nourish and lubricate. Okay, so the nutrition, the essential fatty acids, the right foods, bone broths, that sort of thing, to actually nourish and help the joint to naturally lubricate itself. And then we have to reduce the inflammation and the underlying issues that could be driving the joint pain. And that's all included in our action plan. So if you haven't already downloaded the Eat Savvy approach, then that is something that you can do that's free, and we have 12 steps to help you get started on the Eat Savvy diet, and that's available on our blog. So you can probably just Google Savvy Team Eat Savvy Diet and you'll find it there. But again, if you wanted to, just type more and ask for what you're after, and we can send that off to you. So that is it, unless I'll just check whether there's any comments and questions here that we might need to cover. No, it looks all good. Okay. So yeah, if you do have any questions, you have any comments, what's worked for you, what helps you with your joint aches and pains, and if you're already a member of our community and you've tried the joint mobility action plan, maybe share that with us. I'll share this with you right now. We have a testimonial in here that that I did put up somewhere. And this is since my car accident, I've had osteoarthritis in both knees, hip pain, and scoliosis. I'm just 21 days into the Joint Mobility Action Plan, and OMG, I have less pain, can walk further, and with more ease. Thank you. So that's the sort of things that you can experience, but understand that whatever's happening for you, symptoms are not enemies to be destroyed, but they're actually sacred messengers who encourage us to take better care of ourselves. So thanks for joining the Healthy Savvy Life show. Great to have you with us here. And again, if you have suggestions for further topics, those sorts of things, we would love to hear from you. So it's Corey Sievers here with the Savvy team, encouraging you to be savvy. So all the best. We'll catch you next time.